Greetings.
hello.
Is this thing on?
Is this working? Are we live?
Welcome
Mic
back
check,
to the
mic check.
Fanboy Cantina. In this episode, we're talking about Ahsoka episode 7. What is it? Dreams and Madness.
Yes.
And we're joined today by Mr. C and Aravind. We haven't seen you in a long time. How are you both doing? Mr. C, we'll start with you. How are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm good to be. I'm tell you what. One of the I wanted to come here to speak on the content, but also I've been on my own channel so much lately. I just needed to be on a different channel.
You got to be talking about your own
two
thing.
solid reasons for wanting to be here, right now.
Awesome. Aravind, what are you up to? How are you doing?
You know, I've been in a galaxy far, far away, so I have been absent here. But now I'm back and excited to talk about the latest episode. And as far as what have I been doing, I've just been busier than I want to be. So that's good and bad and good and bad and good and bad.
Yeah, good.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's great.
So we've got episode 7, and we're going to be going into spoilers, sharing thoughts about the episode. If you have not seen the episode, yeah, you might want to pause this thing and come back a bit later, and join the chat through the chat. Okay, so in the typical format that we've got for this thing, we talk about the season and how you feeling about it. We did a mid-season take, Mr. C, 2-3 weeks ago, I guess, because it was.
I would say 3.
Because that's basic math. so we chatted 3 weeks ago about the feelings of the season. So we'll do that. The current take. We'll talk about the episode itself, and then get us into questions or thoughts as we launch into the finale. So, Mr. C, how are you feeling now since our last time together?
Well, again, I may be less knowledgeable. I may be less have had less involvement in the source material. That being said, I find it's completely entertaining, and I mean, I suppose I could get a little lost or a little drifted out from my comfort zone here. That being said, I'm not so lost that I'm reaching for the remote control to get out of the channel. It retains in every episode, in every sequence, enough core, true OG Star Wars, if you will, and it integrates the current material in I would say a well-structured way. So since we last spoke 3 weeks ago, so now these within this series, episodes 5 and 6 and 7, none of them have been a disappointment to me. They've all been a point of interest to me.
All right. Aravind, what's your take on the season with 7 episodes? We haven't chatted. 7 episodes in, 1 to go. How you feeling?
Yeah. So because I have really plunged into the Star Wars universe and all of the side stories and all of the spin-offs and the animated series, I feel like I'm able to really understand and appreciate what has happened with these characters and with some of the intriguing parts that what I'll call the casual Star Wars viewer may not have ever seen, like the Star Whales, for example, but having been exposed to them in the Rebels series and knowing how that journey had taken Ezra and Thrawn away to another place far, far away, I'm able to connect those dots. So to me, I appreciate and enjoy how they've been able to take these characters from their animated format into live action. So I think they've done a really good job with that. The overall story that they're telling of Ahsoka, I find it interesting, and my only wish is that I wish the season would be longer, because I feel like there's a lot that they can unpackage with a lot of these characters. You know, there's a huge time jump from when Rebels took place to when the story of Ahsoka is being told now. And with so much that has taken place between then, you see a little bit of I'm not going to say a change in each of the characters, but they've definitely evolved in certain ways. You know, whether you take, if you take the captain, for example, where she has, the last time we saw her in Rebels, she was still the captain of the Ghost, and she had lost Kanan, and now we time jump, and here she is. She has a son who is the son of her and Kanan. So it's like, okay, well, there's a lot that could be potentially told there. You have Ahsoka as a character where there's a lot that could be told there, and with Sabine, there's so much around her, and I feel like her character seems to have almost changed the most from when we last saw her in Rebels to where she is now. And so to cram so much and to condense what I would say is some additional backstory with all of these characters to be condensed in just 8 episodes for the season. It's like, I wish they would just have a longer season, because there's so much more great storytelling that could be told. So I would say for me, that's the big, oh shucks, I wish they could have done this a little bit differently. But overall, I've enjoyed it. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I would say I'm still overall I'm definitely enjoying the series. I am enjoying this one probably as much as the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which I know some folks did not really like that series, but I did enjoy that one. Boba Fett, a little rough. Mandalorian season 3, mixed bag for me. But for this one, I really am enjoying being able to see these characters that we know from Star Wars Rebels in live action. That is a treat. That is a joy. Mm-hmm. With those characters, we had like 4 seasons or 5 seasons, 4 or 5 seasons to get to know them. And with Ahsoka, you got also the Clone Wars content as well. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to then realize all of that back history, all of that story in 8 episodes. So right. It is an inherent challenge. But that said, there are ways that they could have tried to incorporate those stories or certain characters, or did different changes where maybe they could have been more fleshed out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the comments, let's go and okay. I mean, that's a lot. It's the opening of episode 1. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit rough, but spoiler alert. Okay, that's something. That's something. I'll say that honestly, with the first 4 episodes, I kind of like them more than what we've got right now, but I don't. I maybe I need to talk it through to unpack the why with that. And maybe it's the anticipation or the excitement of not knowing where the story is going to go. We could easily see that we're going to see, because we knew it, we're going to see Thrawn, we're going to see Ezra. We're very interested in that story. Very interested in what happened with the falling out between Ahsoka and Sabine and all of that. So there's that anticipation. But now, as we're on the cliff of the final episode, I am concerned that there are so many things out there, and I'm getting into the final topic part, but I'm concerned there's a lot of dangling bits that they're just going to accelerate right through and not do justice for. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so let's talk about the reason why we're the core reason why we're all here. Episode 7 and and that's Dreams and Madness. Mr. C, what did you think of, even though I just kind of like poo-pooed my current feeling here, but what did you think of the episode?
Well, again, you're building up the anticipation since the first episode of this series.
Yeah.
what's gonna, where is Ezra? Who is Ezra? What's going on? Is Thrawn, going to, and so now I'm just, well, I don't know if this is off the grid a little bit, but I just want to see Ezra versus Thrawn in some kind of way. They were both in this isolated, distant, far, far away kind of an area. So, I don't know, is that due to come up next week, Ezra versus Thrawn? But to me, that would be an interesting thing. Again, is this Ezra's first live action appearance? If so, then, I mean, he formidable force wielder. Not you keep the lightsaber. I'm going to go with the force push. So that had a certain confidence, but not overconfidence to it. And just the look, I'll say the actor was well selected. The hairdressing people, the beard dressing people, they put together the right look for this actor to be Ezra. And again, then you have the interplay between, it was Sabine's whole thing was to get back together and find him again. So now to see their interaction, a little bit, okay, now we got some snail-like creatures, a little bit Ewok reminiscent, but of course, not exactly Ewok. So there's a whole bunch of interesting, a feast for the eyes and a bunch of good questions to pop into my head while I'm watching the show.
All right. Ervin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So there's a couple things that I'm still trying to sort of figure out. So with Thrawn, I feel like if you were to take the Blue Man Group and mash them up with Data from Star Trek and Robert Patrick, the Terminator 2 guy, the liquid metal guy, I feel like that's what he sort of looks like. And I don't remember him quite looking like that in Rebels, other than he was blue and had red eyes. But that's neither here nor there. But what are all of the stormtroopers loading onto the Star Destroyer? Like you every time it cuts over to that scene, you just see them pushing these hovering caskets of something onto the ship, and they haven't really revealed what that is. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so is he, and I know he's packing up, getting ready to go, but what exactly is he bringing? So that's something that's sort of lingering in my head. The character of Captain Enoch. So that's the stormtrooper with the face, the gold face. And I know that the actor that plays him was the guy from The Expanse who played Amos. And so unless this is a glorified cameo, kind of like how James Bond, Daniel Craig, was a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens, then why do they have him cast as that character unless there's something more that's going to come out of him? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. And then I guess the bigger twist for me in this episode was Balin's motive. So I feel like from the very beginning of the season, we open with he and his Padawan when they get onto the ship from the shuttle, and they just start massacring people, and it's all because they're trying to find the little flying star orby thing so that they can find Thrawn. And so he's been on this constant pursuit of finding this artifact so that he can get to Thrawn, to where he is. And so now he's finally there. And then all of a sudden in this episode, he's telling his Padawan, he's like, all right, well, you're going to go do your thing and I'm going to go do mine because I'm on a different path. And so I want to know, what is that path? Because this is new information for the audience. Now, I started to look at his attire and I started thinking, knowing that this is after Return of the Jedi, before The Force Awakens, and when he had this pursuit earlier in the season of finding artifacts, I was trying to piece together what knowledge I have, which is not much. So I'm sort of grasping at straws here, but when it comes to the Knights of Ren, when I look at how they're all dressed up, they seem to have similar attire to what Balin has. And from what I understand about them, they are a group of nomadic type force wielders who choose to be on the dark side, and they love finding artifacts. So I started to piece those two things together. Like, okay, so is the path that he's on, is this eventually going to lead to him potentially establishing the Knights of Ren, or he somehow gets connected to them, so this becomes sort of a bridge story between after Return of the Jedi and before Force Awakens? I don't know, but that's what this episode left me thinking. It's like, all right, so there's a lot more that needs to come out of this guy. And like you said, fanboy, with only one episode left, there's a lot to unpackage. So I'm really, really curious as to what we find out about Balin's ulterior motive.
Yeah, no, 100%. And hey there, Mandarin. Thanks for joining us on the school night.
Mandarin.
It's been a while. So thanks for joining. Dave Fuentes adds, my hope for the final episode is that the good guys lose. Thrawn breaks free and moves on to the next phase of his plans, aka Ahsoka season 2. I don't want to see is the usual rushed, Disney Plus finale.
Agree.
Yeah. No, I think that's...
Leave it to the guy with the terror blog to want to see the good guys lose.
Hey, I sometimes like to see the good guys lose. I mean, Empire Strikes Back, fantastic. The good guys lose, Infinity War, fantastic. The good guys lose. Right? So I like it when the good guys lose sometimes.
Yeah, Star-Lord asking, did we just lose? Where are the live streams? So there was one for 4. There was one for episode 4. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, okay. Spoil away. Well, that's awesome. So I, for just the little bits that I would add, definitely agree with. Trying to understand what's Balin's end game, where is he going, what are his motives. Very curious on Shin Hati and kind of her turn as well, or is there going to be a turn or not? For the episode, as I said, it wasn't my favorite, but still it's an enjoyable episode. I really did like it. The beginnings where you've got the, navigating through not the asteroid field, but the bones of the Purrgil.
Yeah.
That was cool. Very much an Empire Strikes Back kind of moment. The circling of the literal circling of the wagons, as a plot device. Is like, we're kind of checking the boxes of, samurai movies and spaghetti westerns, and so now we've got the circling of the wagon. But it was rendered nicely enough. I think there was a lot to really, really enjoy. But that said, I do have questions, and as I said, I also did feel like it was a little bit rushed to the point where I just sort of wondered about the character's motives and whether it made enough sense. So as an example, with Thrawn, he's a master strategist, deeply or it's 2 steps, 5 steps ahead.
I love that about him. That's so
3-dimensional chess or 4-dimensional chess, if that was even possible. In this case, his game is, well, I don't want to use more troops than we can spare. We only have a finite number of troops. Or Ahsoka is giving up time. It's just sort of like, is that the representation that we're familiar with of Thrawn? It feels a little bit more basic, I guess, but maybe all this time being out in the in another galaxy has worn him up. I don't know. So And also another point that kind of threw me, is it really going to be a 3-on-1 on Shinhati when we know that she's almost of equal level to Sabine? Just sort of felt odd of having the Ezra and Sabine team up against Shinhati. That seemed odd.
Mhm.
And then Ahsoka joins in, which now it even seems more peculiar.
Mhm.
Yes, but and one last thing. With Sabine, and this is, I think, because of the lack of time with these characters. We haven't gotten to see or at least have her express the issues that she's got with Ahsoka.
Mhm.
So we know that because it's spoken to, that there was a choice. She wasn't allowed to go to Mandalore and intervene to save her family. And
Mhm.
maybe that would have been a fatal mistake anyway, or a fatal choice had she gone that route. But we don't get to hear any of that. We don't get to hear
Yeah.
any of that. And with the reunion, it doesn't feel like it's fully resolved. Or like, oh, okay, so we're not going to talk about that, whatever all happened. We're not going to talk about how you just you risk the galaxy, literally the whole galaxy, because you want to get reunited with Ezra, and we're not going to talk about it, the betrayal and all of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it could be like efficiency of time or lack of time. And then and the last thing I'll say on this Sabine point, it would have been nice, or it would have made, and this is, I think, a writing issue, the connection. So she made that choice to regain family, to get connected with Ezra again.
Mhm.
And but now that we see them together, on the stagecoach of sorts, or wagon of sorts, and they're just sort of chit-chatting, and it's not feeling like, it's sort of like, oh, okay, it's like buddies that haven't seen each other, not this intense family reconnection. There's something missing there, and it could be either a function of the writing or lack of time.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see that too. I mean, this is someone that she hasn't seen him in years.
Years.
There's years that have gone by. And I feel like they're able to have that moment in like a few microseconds when they first embrace each other, when the camera pans over and Sabine's still looking and he's behind her, just sort of leaning casually like, hey, so it looks like you finally made it. So he had that same sort of young boy attitude that he had in Star Wars Rebels. So it was nice to see that. And when they first embraced, it's like, okay, it was a good family reunion type of moment. But then, like you said, they just sort of just go into this little chit chat and nothing deeper. And that could have been part of it could be the pacing, because they're getting ready to get pursued by a bunch of baddies, and so maybe they didn't want to get too deep into that into that kind of let's catch up type of moment. But I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of a pacing issue there, and after, I guess, after they started that little chit chat, I guess there was one comment that Ezra made when he was asking about, oh, well, what about Ahsoka? And he said, oh, so it's complicated, huh? So I think he started to read into that a little bit, but it was I do feel like they could have done a little bit more there to make it feel a little more genuine.
A little more genuine, a little more authentic.
Yeah.
At least acknowledge what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would have? I mean, because it could have been interesting. What would
Right.
Ezra's reaction have been?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't feel qualified to give Filoni notes, but going back to Dave's comment just there,
Yeah.
maybe possibly you do that, but then you do a cutaway instead of just leaving it with the tone that we got to see. Maybe there's a different tone, a different set of words used. It's a more profound, if you will, a more profound expression of the emotion that would go with, I haven't seen this person for years. But
Yeah.
then you don't stay only on that, then you cut away to whatever the other scene is, or the other plot driving elements. Going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I will say,
Go ahead.
I will say when they were in the moment of having to defend themselves, when all of the stormtroopers arrived in the gunships, and Sabine tells Ezra, "Well, hey, here's your lightsaber. Please use this because you're really good at this." And he's like, "No, no, no, I gave it to you." That felt a little weird because he clearly has a lot of skills, unless he lost all of that while he's been gone. But I don't know if they're waiting until the final episode for him to show off his mastery with a lightsaber. But I feel like in that moment, right now, it's just survival, and you better do what you can do so you can live. And for him to just rely on the Force as his ally, either he's super confident and he's like, "Oh, well, this is going to be no big deal. Wait till they get a load of me in the next episode," or it was kind of weird.
It's an interesting tone question, and it's an interesting target audience question. If they're going for the younger audience and they're sitting on the moment to okay, reflect here, zero in on this. Sabine's going to have the lightsaber. Ezra's not going to have the lightsaber, and it was a structure by which to focus and emphasize on that. Okay, I'll give it that, but again, it's with the immediacy of the moment, the urgency, you got to get ready real fast for
exactly
the fact that's upon you.
Yeah. I did chuckle when I think one of the stormtroopers banged up against one of those snail wagons, and one of the little snail people that popped up and threw a frying pan at his head and then just went right back down. I had a good chuckle at that one.
Very Ewok-y kind of moment, for sure.
Yeah.
So about the stormtroopers, the buzz or the wonder from the last episode what are the night troopers? Are they like zombie stormtroopers or something like that?
Yeah.
And so I that could have been interesting, but in this case, everybody's dead. They shoot them, they bonk them in the head, they with the frying pan, and it doesn't seem like they're a zombie. They're just kind of gone. They're taken out with rocks and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything more mystic about them or not. I mean, you have they're alluding to Thrawn having some ongoing communication with the Night Sisters, and that they are, they're into the mysticism and the Star Wars magic. So is there something, was there something there that they did to help bring back some stormtroopers? Is that what they're loading onto the Star Destroyer? Are those caskets that have bodies so that he has more troopers? I don't know, but it is interesting. And then earlier, was it maybe the second or third episode? Maybe it was the third episode when Ahsoka was fighting one of the heavy clad type of, I don't know what it was, but when she defeated it, it sort of vaporized into dust and smoke.
Marok, the Inquisitor guy.
That seemed more supernatural. So is there a connection there that, did the Night Sisters have something to do with that? Maybe, I don't know. So
I mean, that could be super cool if it's a bunch of caskets of Night Sisters or
something. I feel like they're starting to get into the space magic,
right?
Right, with the Night Sisters, which is pretty cool.
I'm glad you brought that up as you did just now in the detail that you did, because when we were speaking of it a few minutes ago, what popped in my head was caskets and kind of a Dracula getting out of the ship kind of a thing, but I didn't want to creep the horror element into the Star Wars side of things. But it is since the door was open for it. Yeah, it's a good mystery to as yet resolved to see what's what's being lugged around.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be super interesting, super cool and scary, right? That you have this threat from another galaxy with these the army of Night Sisters or zombie whatever things. It could also be just a general MacGuffin, and it's like the crap from a warehouse. Ron's accumulated a very large collection of Beanie Babies and really needs to make sure he gets it back home. Who would have thought? Space Beanie Babies.
It's possible. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. So we're getting a little bit into expectations of finale. We're wondering about what's in the box. What's in the box is.
What's in the box?
So we got that. Balin's endgame, whether Shin Hati is going to turn.
Yeah.
And so a question, Ervin, that I sent you via text with the other guys. Who's going to make it out alive? Do you think Ezra is going to make it out alive? Because he repeatedly says, I can't wait to go home.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go home. And it's kind of this glazed look back from Sabine that really has to feel good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to speculate. Ezra was a character with some degree of popularity and renown, and to pull the plug on him so quickly in his live action, I mean, I can see a story-driven reason for doing that, but in terms of keeping the character, I mean, I would think no.
Yeah. I mean, it would be in a dramatic turn, but they did that with Cad Bane, who they brought in for an episode or two, and then boom, you've got this popular Clone Wars character that's not around anymore. I mean, it gave me vibes of because we've all seen movies, right? Everybody's seen movies, and it's kind of a trope of Jessie saying how much she was looking forward to, or the whole montage with Jessie and Toy Story 2, and she's gonna be going on a new adventure with her person, and then she's in a box at the giveaway, or the couple on Snakes on a Plane with the guy who says, I've never been on a plane before and I'm super anxious. And he's gone. And then of course my favorite, I would have liked to have seen Montana. Yeah. So I don't know. At least they're setting it up for kind of a disappointing end.
Yeah. I mean, they, like you said, they did this with Bane. It's like, oh my God, they brought him in. This is going to be amazing. I love this. Next episode, dead. It's like,
gone. Yeah.
And for Ezra to be gone all this time, to go, I'm finally going to get home, to just get just get wiped the next episode. That's I have a bad feeling about this, but Star Wars has done this thing where now apparently you might think someone dies, and then the next thing they're waking up out of a bacta tank, or they're just waking up from the emergency room with a robot droid or with a doctor droid saying, "Hey, you're okay. It's just a flesh wound." So, but and he's so much of a major character on, that's good. So whoever it was that was commenting, maybe this is who loses. Maybe it's Ezra that loses after finally getting found. So yeah, I don't know. I've got a bad feeling he might not make the cut in the final episode there. And I know with Captain Hera, I think she was getting her wrist slapped, but then 3PO came out and said, "Oh well, Leia said this and that," and when you have when you have her coming in to the rescue, is it going to be potentially her coming in and she sacrifices herself to potentially save Ezra and others? So I do have a feeling it is going to be someone from the original Rebels cast that doesn't make the cut. If it was Ezra, that'd be too bad. If it's Captain Hera, that wouldn't surprise me. Maybe, in a heroic effort for her to go out the same way that Kanan did when trying to save those that he loved. So it could be, they could be playing that card here in the next episode.
I think with the mention of how Ahsoka's master was Anakin Skywalker, and Thrawn taking note of that.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
that it could be in this.
I gave him pause.
Right. So if he is doing the 3-dimensional chess bit, maybe it's to create a situation that will turn Ahsoka, or try to do that.
Yeah.
So something involving Sabine would make sense. You're right, as her new Padawan. Yeah. But I don't think. I think Ezra's not going to see Montana. Yeah. I know that. I think it's going to be I think it would be a terrible choice, as you said, Mr. C, to give the popularity of the character. But I don't know. They kind of got all the tropes going.
Yeah, he did mention it twice, and he's probably going to say it again early in the next episode. Like, I can't wait to get to Montana. Yeah. I think you're on to something.
All right. So I'm just looking at time and also looking at my list. I think we've actually covered many of the things I wrote on Sharpie for myself, but what else should we talk about with the finale here? Or expectations? Zeb's going to show up. We know that part.
Do we?
We don't know that part, but we now know. They waited till episode 7 to explain where the heck is Zeb. Zeb is training recruits.
Yes.
So I have to imagine he's going to show up, because otherwise you got an Ahsoka series without Zeb.
Right. Is Ahsoka greenlit for season 2? Like,
I don't know that. I don't think it's known.
Okay.
Yeah. We know that Bob Iger is unhappy with the spend on properties and content in general. We also believe that Dave Filoni's movie is going to be bringing together this Disney Plus series universes together. All but Andor, and Kenobi, presumably. So it could be that that's where all of these things head. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of dangling things that they just, hey, we're going to wind it up in a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I hope that they're really strategic in their storytelling in the season finale. If it needs to end on a cliffhanger, hopefully to allude that there will be a season 2 or more story to tell, so that they don't rush the quality of the story. I mean, that's, like I don't know who it was that commented earlier that said, I pray that they don't rush through this for a D+ type of a finale. Let's not rush something that's been great for many, many, many years, and with all the seasons of the backstory that we have on these characters. So it wouldn't do them justice, and plus, there's still so much more story to tell with these characters. So I would be fine with a cliffhanger moment that begs us wanting more for the next, for what's to come next. But it's, I guess Tuesday can't get here fast enough.
We're all going to know soon enough. Yeah.
That's right.
Mr. C, closing thoughts? Anything?
Closing thoughts. My ultimate, my big hope for, we had some 3PO, and that was an excellent use of 3PO. I need some 3PO and Chopper. I need to see some banter between 3PO and Chopper for the closer. But maybe on a more serious note, again, there's just so many moving pieces and so many questions with the characters. Yeah, where will Balin end up, and what will he do? Where will Ezra throw?
There's
Tuesday can't get here fast enough.
what I'm trying to do for myself is, from when you watch a series like this, or all of these series, you have these expectations, particularly when you've got characters that have been introduced before. You expect, with like Cad Bane, that there'd be maybe more story, or at
Mhm.
least 3 episodes with Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Right? Or you probably could count the amount of minutes that he had on screen on one hand, probably.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
because there's so much content about these characters and rich stories, you have these expectations going into things. And so I've tried to like check myself, or try to, even though it's hard, to not get into the, well, what if they had done a flashback of the the choice that had happened with Sabine's family, so there's like the what ify kind of things, or what Ervin, you and I talk about, of, why don't they tell us, why don't they check the stories with us, why don't they ask us what's so it's just a downward spiral. So when it comes to these shows, week after week, I'm just trying to enjoy it as it is, and I'm still having fun. I think there's a lot of dangling things within the episode, or within the series so far. Um, I don't think they're going to tackle them all, and that, to one of your points, I think that's okay. I think
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Just leave us wanting for more stories.
Exactly. Exactly. And if anyone over at Lucasfilm is watching, please consult us when it comes to storyboarding. We can add significant value and and we have more in-depth knowledge than, I don't know, than we should admit. But hey,
We're
I'll,
here. Yeah, we'll stop by.
well, yeah, we I think we could hang with them.
Yeah.
I think we could do that.
Why are these 3 guys walking around the office making these noises?
And then
Yeah, and that too. Yeah. And then yeah. Yeah. Get them out of here. All right. So, well, thank you, Mr. C, and thank you, Aravind, for joining today. And if you thank you also, if you're watching live, or if you're watching after the fact, post in the comments, because we'd love to continue the conversation with you. Are you loving the season? Are you loving the series? What did you think of episode 7? What are your expectations for the finale? Do you think somebody's gonna not make it past the finale? Post in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, Mr. C, I'm going to shove in the plug. Where can people find you?
well, people can find me here on the Fanboy Cantina, but when I'm not on the Fanboy Cantina, I'm on the Chris Conley, Mr. C Dives In. We had a little bit of a Svengoolie business coming lately. We had the NECA Svengoolie. We did an interview with the Hero Forge Sven figure creator Win Thin. So we're doing all kinds of Sven stuff, and we may return to eating hot dogs sometime soon. That's in the pre-production phase. But besides getting my plug in on my stuff, let me say thanks, Mandarin, for coming back and hanging out with us tonight. Thanks, Star G, and as always, thanks, Dave, terrordaves.com. Many years, many pictures, many words about horror and Svengoolie. So thanks to Dave for jumping in comments.
Always appreciate you, Mr. C, for doing that, of saying thanks to everybody who's spent a little bit of their evening with us. So thank you for that. And Aravind, we got to do more of these things.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I've been asking for it, and now that I'm back, I'm ready to chat. Let's.
My kids only know you as that guy who yells while we're playing Star Wars Battlefront.
Do I yell a lot when I?
Somehow that's how they know you. It was probably
I don't
that
know
one
if I'm
time
embarrassed or if I should take that as a compliment. But
I think it's okay.
Compliment.
I'll take it as a compliment.
It's good. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for being here. And this has been the Fanboy Cantina. May the Force be with you always.